Good morning everyone, and today we're checking out a brand new video from the film theaters about how Spongebob may be an evil genius. But it's actually confirmed? Yeah, we've all heard the theory about how Patrick is supposedly an evil genius who just plays dumb, so that people don't expect it. But we never really look at Spongebob being an evil genius now, do we? Well, I say we hop in and see what they figured out.
SpongeBob SquarePants isn't stupid. Yeah, despite playing dumb and innocent for the past quarter of a century, SpongeBob SquarePants is actually a secret genius. And when you take that to the logical extreme, this adorable yellow rectangle might have some truly dark intentions. Hello Internet, welcome to Film Theory, the show where F is for film theory, U is for you and me, N is for anywhere and anytime at all, so why not subscribe for new videos every week? So at this point, no one needs an introduction to SpongeBob SquarePants. I mean, everyone knows him. Absorbent and yellow and porous is he, and if you don't know him, well, you're basically
so hop on the deck and flop like a fish.
Living under a rock with Patrick. Honestly, one of the most impressive things about SpongeBob SquarePants is just how much staying power it's had. The show first aired on Nickelodeon all the way back in 1999, last century, and it's never left. It has a pretty classic cartoon formula. SpongeBob and his friends get into some silly adventure every week in the town of Bikini Bottom, some slapstick comedy ensues, at least 2 memes are born, complete disaster is averted, and everything starts
almost 2 memes per episode.
all over again next episode. It's a classic format that's created some of the most iconic parts of internet culture. Seriously, there's a meme you almost certainly recognize from basically every single episode of this show. And with a brand and characters that strong, it feels like everyone knows their deal, right? Mr. Krabs is greedy, Squidward is a tortured artist, Sandy is from Texas, Patrick is dumb as rocks, and SpongeBob himself is so naive and innocent that it borders on him being a complete idiot. Or is he? Is SpongeBob actually a secret genius? An intelligent mind up there with the likes of Newton, Einstein, and Oppenheimer. I mean, okay, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think just proving that he isn't stupid would be a good start. Just to be straight up with you loyal theorists, when the team first came up with this idea in our writers' meetings, I thought it was both incredibly silly and incredibly fun. And honestly, those are the best types of episodes. Oh, we're watching an old school cartoon and taking it way too seriously? Hell yeah, brother, that's some dumb fun and I'm
Write that down, write that down!
When you do look at the evidence, there's a shocking amount of it pointing to SpongeBob being much more intelligent than he lets on. And if we keep pulling that thread, soon it becomes clear that he's doing something truly dark and vile with that intelligence, all for his own sick amusement. Yes,
Go on.
So are ya ready, theorists?
Aye, aye, Captain!
I can't hear you!
That's a pretty good recreation.
Captain!
Let's go! So it's kind of obvious that a lot of the secret ingredient for the formula of a SpongeBob SquarePants episode is that SpongeBob here isn't exactly the sharpest spatula in the kitchen. His lack of intelligence and seeming innocence are a huge component to basically every plotline in the show. And hey, scientifically that makes sense. Yeah, sea sponges, which SpongeBob is based on, actually don't have brains or even a nervous system. Yeah, they're just kind of vibing out there in the ocean, just chilling out. So checks out that SpongeBob would be brain dead, yeah? Well,
and I guess that would also make sense that SpongeBob doesn't really feel pain.
Here's the thing. SpongeBob isn't a normal sea sponge without a brain. In fact, we have a lot of proof that SpongeBob does have a brain. And not only that, but a big one. Like human-sized and shaped. And because of that, when he wants to, SpongeBob shows a lot of factors of intelligence. For example, in the episode Squid's Day Off, SpongeBob is able to quickly and accurately shout out tons of ways to make change for $1.
Do you want 4 quarters, or 10 dimes, or 20 nickels, or 100 pennies, or 1 quarter, 3 dimes, 7 nickels, and 10 pennies?
Now, if it were just those smaller breakdowns like 4
or if you get me a $5 bill, you could get all right.
quarters or 10 dimes,
Damn, that's
easy peasy.
impressive.
But when you start getting into the larger and varied numbers, that can quickly become challenging. This right here is an example of mental math and shows SpongeBob's strong numerical reasoning skills and ability to quickly process information. All of these mental skills engage the parts of the brain responsible for memory, attention, and logical thinking. And studies have shown that, in general, people who master mental arithmetic will have a higher IQ than those who don't. For what that's worth. But it's not just math that shows this SpongeBob Sponge's brain power. SpongeBob is also very artistic, way more so than other characters like Squidward, and this is shown time and time again in the series. With basically no effort, SpongeBob is able to draw a well-rendered face, fold paper origami, and sculpt a block of marble into a finely detailed statue. All of this alone would be incredible works of art, but on top of that, more studies have found that creative people typically have a higher IQ, again, for whatever that's worth. Sculpting that statue in particular would require SpongeBob to have incredible spatial intelligence. That's the ability to visualize and manipulate 3D objects in your brain. Basically, it's transferring a mental image you have in your head into the real world. And as someone who's tried making those clay pots and statues before, I can tell you firsthand that this is not easy, especially with something as unforgiving as marble. And all of this isn't even mentioning SpongeBob's incredible musical skill. I mean, my man played at the Super Bowl. Even SpongeBob's choice of career as a fry cook could hint at his intelligence. Yeah, high-class chefs in higher-end restaurants are considered higher intelligence individuals. And hey, that makes sense. They need to problem solve quickly, make decisions constantly, prioritizing certain dishes over others, and adapting to variables presented by each ingredient. All of those are critical thinking skills often used to measure someone's IQ. Now, you might be thinking, hey, SpongeBob isn't really a high-end chef. He's a fry cook at a fast food restaurant. Can that really apply here? And the answer is yes. While we may not traditionally associate flipping burgers with intelligence, SpongeBob is different. In the episode Le Big Switch,
he literally tries everything he can in this episode to cook in any way, but all he can do is make a Krabby Patty. He frickin' cracks an egg, cooks it, and then poof, it magically turns into a frickin' Krabby Patty.
When SpongeBob's transferred to a fancy restaurant, his work is revered by the chef, who praises his culinary skills.
This taste is fantastic!
And the customers love his cooking so much that when it's time for him to go back to the Krusty Krab, no one wants him to leave. They straight up cling to his leg to make him stay. And then in the episode Neptune's Spatula, SpongeBob's cooking is so good that King Neptune spits out his patty to enjoy it a second time. There are just tons and tons of more examples, but you get the idea. SpongeBob has nearly unmatched culinary skills on top of his exceptional creativity and ability with math. The long and short of it, SpongeBob is no fool. He may act stupid, but he's an intelligent creature, perhaps one of the smartest in the whole series. So there, theory done, right? Slap some red text on a thumbnail and let's call this a day. Well, not exactly. Sure, yes, I think we've done more than enough here to explain that SpongeBob is much smarter than he lets on. But
I guess you could say that SpongeBob is the smallest sea creature, not include. Actually, no. I guess even more clever than King Neptune. But then, when you factor in land mammals, i.e., Sandy, then you actually have a field of expertise that SpongeBob knows nothing about, primarily science.
But so what? What does that mean for the rest of the series? Well, first of all, in the canon of the show, the fact that SpongeBob is this smart should mean that he should be miserable. Here, let me explain. This actually comes down to how intelligence is portrayed in the rest of the series, particularly with one Squidward tentacles. And that comes down to Squidward's anatomy. Yeah, despite the name Squidward, he's actually an octopus. Mind-blowing, right? But for real, this is important because
people still debate it.
An octopus actually has 9 brains, one in their head where you would expect to find a brain, and one in each of their tentacles. Because of this, octopods are considered one of the smartest animals in the ocean, and much more intelligent than the likes of, say, a starfish or a sponge, like Patrick in SpongeBob. Yeah, like we said earlier, sponges don't actually have brains or a nervous system. And did you know that starfish also don't have brains? Also,
they may not have a brain, but they have a nerve ring.
Side note, but I guess SpongeBob and Patrick having brains really lines up with that theory that Bikini Bottom is an irradiated wasteland from the nuclear tests at Bikini Atoll after World War II. Anyway, several studies and articles have discussed how people with higher intelligence have a higher risk of suffering from depression. One of the factors here, intelligent people often feel misunderstood by the less intelligent people in their lives, which is definitely the case for Squidward. Obviously, this isn't the case for everyone, and it varies from person to person. Intelligence doesn't have a cause and effect relationship with depression, but sadly, they absolutely are often found side by side in several subjects. And at least in the world of SpongeBob, there is a correlation between intelligence and happiness. In the episode Patrick Smartpants, Patrick suddenly becomes very intelligent after a bit of misadventure with SpongeBob. All of a sudden, he's no longer amused by SpongeBob's antics, and the two grow apart. But by the end of the episode, well, I mean, just listen.
Knowledge can never replace friendship.
He realizes that he'd rather be stupid and happy than sad and alone. And this is also what's driving Squidward. He feels just so much smarter than everyone else in Bikini Bottom that it's left him feeling isolated and misunderstood. So, if SpongeBob is actually smart, and being smart in this world seems to make you miserable, why isn't SpongeBob miserable all the time? Shouldn't he be just as sad as Squidward or Patrick when he had his big Markiplier brain? Maybe.
Big Markiplier brain. Why did you say that? Oh, right, because of the whole meme of it big brain time. Well, I mean, that's actually the thing, though. People that are really intelligent, like I was saying, can suffer a lot more from depression and strokes of sadness like that. But that's because using that intelligence constantly to try to think above everyone else. If people with the intelligence can just take a step back, take a deep breath, and just not think, that'll be a lot better, because instead of constantly thinking about everything, you're barely thinking at all. So you play dumb, and you're happy.
But perhaps SpongeBob is finding a way to vent that sadness, that frustration, taking those negative feelings out on someone in particular, making someone else's life absolutely miserable to make his own just that little bit better. Yeah, you know how Squidward always seems sad and seems to hate SpongeBob? Maybe that isn't just because he finds SpongeBob annoying. Maybe it's because SpongeBob is intentionally hurting Squidward, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Yeah. Okay, listen, I know that's a big claim. I get it, it's out there. But when you go back and watch the series looking for moments where this happens, it comes up surprisingly often. For example, sometimes SpongeBob will take the pranks that Squidward pulls on him and turn them on their head, making them backfire on Squidward. In the episode Funny Pants, Squidward tricks SpongeBob into never laughing again because it annoys him, resulting in SpongeBob falling into a deep depression. This causes him to cry loudly, a sound that Squidward ultimately hates even more.
I think I found the one thing I hate more than his laugh.
In Naughty Nautical Neighbors, Squidward tricks Patrick and SpongeBob into no longer being friends after their laughter ruins his cooking. But they both just end up independently annoying Squidward even more than before. And in the episode Squid on Strike, when both characters go on strike, it ends with both of them out of a job, and SpongeBob ends up just annoying Squidward all day, every day. You get the point. Basically, every time Squidward tries to control or hurt SpongeBob, it never works as planned. It always backfires. Now, it would be easy to point to all of this and just say that it's normal animated TV karma. Squidward was mean, so he has to face the consequences by the end of the episode. Does SpongeBob really have to be involved in all of that? The reason for it? And hey, I
mean, you can't really blame him with the camping episode, the sea bale. Not like SpongeBob just made that thing appeal.
I hear you, but that doesn't take into account all of the times we see SpongeBob trick Squidward himself. Just a few examples. In the episode Idiot Box, SpongeBob and Patrick are having fun in a cardboard box, but when Squidward wants to see what's in the box, he sees nothing. SpongeBob explains that Squidward just has no
imagination.
He can see that this basically triggers Squidward and ends up with Squidward sneaking into the box later and pretending to drive a race car, though in reality it's just a garbage truck taking him to the dump. SpongeBob kind of broke Squidward's mind here and left him in a terribly embarrassing situation. But it doesn't stop there. It's not just his
thankfully no one found out about that.
Ego he hurts. He also hurts Squidward's wallet. In the episode The Paper, SpongeBob goes all out, making just a single piece of paper appear so valuable to Squidward that he ends up trading everything he owns for it, only for Patrick to come along and use it to throw away chewing gum, leaving Squidward with nothing. And if that wasn't enough, he even gets Squidward physically injured in life-threatening situations. In the camping episode, SpongeBob warns Squidward about the dangerous sea bears and all of the things that can attract them. Squidward, of course, doesn't believe in sea bears and does all of the things that SpongeBob warns against. And when Squidward questions why a sea bear doesn't show up, SpongeBob says,
"Maybe it's because you're not wearing your sombrero in a goofy fashion."
And
that
of
is
course,
what he said.
A sea bear immediately shows up and
the sea bear, though, was the one that then put the hat in a goofy fashion. I remember that. He said that, and then Squidward was like, "Oh, yeah, right." He tilts it, and it was like this, and starts laughing. SpongeBob says, "No." Oh, sea bear hand appeals, grabs it, flips it, and it's like that. I mean, he didn't make the sea bear appeal. He just told Squidward don't do this, so we don't have to deal with this.
And attacks Squidward. SpongeBob could have just done nothing here and spared Squidward from that pain, but instead, my man more or less used reverse psychology and got Squidward mauled by a sea bear. And man, this isn't even the only time this sort of thing happens. In jellyfishing, SpongeBob takes Squidward to go jellyfishing while he's in a full body cast, leaving him to be attacked by the mother jellyfish. In restraining SpongeBob when Squidward burns his hands, instead of pouring water on it to soothe the injury, SpongeBob accidentally pours it on the floor first, before Squidward's whole body ends up in a frying pot. And then in Choir Boys, when Squidward is trying to ignore SpongeBob, SpongeBob decides
this giant pothole ought to get his attention.
And this straight up causes Squidward to crash and get launched into a jellyfish field where he gets electrocuted. And just the cherry on top here, we know for a fact that SpongeBob isn't innocently stumbling into these actions that hurt Squidward. No, he's deliberately...
We literally just saw him do it on purpose.
Annoying him, deliberately hurting him, aware of just how much he gets on Squidward's nerves and how much pain he causes him. Here, check this out. When SpongeBob celebrates the day that he and Squidward first met, the photo album full of his favorite memories of Squidward, they're all just Squidward being miserable or straight up in physical pain. SpongeBob has designated days that he especially annoys Squidward.
Do you know what today is?
Annoy Squidward Day?
No, silly. That's on the 15th.
This guy straight up has annoying Squidward marked on his calendar. And when Squidward even communicates that he dislikes SpongeBob, that he wants him to stop, SpongeBob acknowledges that he knows.
SpongeBob.
Yes, Squidward?
You know I hate you, right?
Yes, I do.
And even when Squidward tries to get a restraining order against SpongeBob to protect himself, SpongeBob instead just gets Patrick to act as a middleman, resulting in more
technically, that was Mr. Krabs. And because, you know, SpongeBob was following the law and, you know, trying to do his work, but Squidward just wouldn't. And so they had to hire a middleman to pass back the orders and all that.
Agony for Squidward. Really? This right here? This adorable, childish sponge? In a show where there isn't really a true, obvious evil villain? Plankton aside, he is the true menace. SpongeBob SquarePants is constantly torturing his neighbor Squidward, tricking his mind, playing with his emotion, and breaking his body. And if this pattern holds, he may start expanding his reign of terror outwards. I mean, what else could explain the fact that he hasn't been able to pass a driving test for over 20 years, and he keeps torturing poor Mrs. Puff? Really, his big, dumb rampage against Bikini Bottom has only just begun. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut. Up next on film.
Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of y'all next time when we flick back on. Until then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.